Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the best podcast for the business and marketing side of the sawmill, lumber, and wood industry. What's a woodpreneur? If you have a business where you make money as a woodworker, sawmill owner, selling slabs, or a content creator, then you're a woodpreneur. My name's Steve Larosiliere, and I started Woodpreneur Life, Acres of Timber, and the Woodpreneur podcast just for makers, wood entrepreneurs, and small business owners just like you. We're on a mission to empower thousands of wood businesses to grow sustainably and put out great products. Each week, I interview makers, sawyers, content creators, and 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that know the wood industry inside and out. With topics covering everything from the urban lumber movement, sustainable sourcing and design, we'll discuss the ins and outs of how to grow, monetize, and fully immerse yourself in the woodpreneur lifestyle. If you're a hobbyist, a full-time wood business owner, part-time entrepreneur who wants to become a content creator, or quit your day job to pursue your dreams, the Woodpreneur podcast is just for you. Thanks so much for listening. Now enjoy this episode. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur Podcast. This is your host, Steve Larosiliere. Today's guest is Jamie Stebenne from JPS Construction and Design. How you doing, Jamie?
Good. Hey, how you been?
Good. Hey, why don't you give us the backstory? How did JPS get started?
So I always had some carpentry and painting in the family bloodlines, and I did some construction and carpentry after I got out of high school. I went into architecture school at Roger Williams in Bristol. Started the business before I graduated, and the business kind of continued to grow from there. I started originally with a partner, which we ran together successfully for about 6 years, and then broke off on our own and continued the business from there.
That's awesome. I saw that I was on your website and I saw that you graduated in 2008. That was a great time to start a business.
Yeah, well, we had started a little prior to that, which was probably a good thing because once the market crashed, it was obviously a little more difficult. So
Mm-hmm.
we had a good network of architects and good amount of projects going on when we were small. We didn't have 50 employees at the time to keep busy. So, and we found
How
ourselves
many
in a niche.
employees?
At the time, we only had a handful, so it was easy to manage, not having to lay off people, and we didn't have. Currently, now we have 58, 59 employees, so it would have been a little different
Wow.
back then if the market had crashed like it did in '08, '09.
Wow.
But yeah, we found ourselves in a little niche doing a lot of high end residential, more so than like spec houses or 2-story colonial. New construction builds, which definitely kept us going through the difficult years after the little recession there.
That's awesome. So how did you first get your first couple projects?
Um, my uncle was a general contractor, and we did some projects for him, basically as subcontractors. And we also had a network of some architects that we had met over the years where we did some projects for them, and just a lot of word of mouth. Started off with family and friends, small projects, and one thing kind of grew into the next.
What really shaped the direction of the business? Was it like more your skill set, or was it the type of clientele, or was it the region? Like how do you think what really shaped the direction of their business?
So we're a design build company. I think that's kind of one of the biggest assets that we have. A lot of our team now all has a background, if not a degree in architecture, a background in architecture and construction management. So I think that sets us apart, where we really bring a design aspect to every project that we do, whether it was something we designed in house or working for another architect. It's not just typical contractor who wants to build a house quick, get in, get out. Take another level of detail and pride in the project. Um, the area that we mainly work in is definitely vacation place. There's a lot of people coming from Connecticut, New York, Boston. They have a second home, third home, whatever it may be, and we do a lot of projects from kind of after Labor Day and done by Memorial Day, so they can enjoy their place for the summer season. Those higher end residential projects is definitely been our biggest niche.
And these are complete remodels from the ground up, or are you doing, kitchens, baths, or just kind of their trust, clients trusting you with everything?
Yeah, so back when we started, we were definitely doing a lot of renovation projects. Again, high-end residential, but it could be anything from bathroom kitchen remodels to full gut renovations,
Mm-hmm.
especially back in 08, 09 when there wasn't a lot of new construction going on.
Mm-hmm.
Now we do quite a bit of new construction as well, but still a ton of renovation jobs is certainly a lack of raw land on Aquidneck Island to just
Mm-hmm.
start building houses. So a lot of times, even if it is a new build, it may be a property that already has a house on it. And it's just a knockdown, and then somebody redevelop it and does a completely new design for the land.
Yeah, yeah. How do you spend your time these days?
Mainly overseeing project managers, looking at new projects, working with the estimators to get estimates and contracts out. Try to pull myself outside of the actual day to day project management, but I still, from time to time will be managing a project or two uh, as well. But really, just
Mm-hmm.
oversight of the project management team that we have, which is really good now. Um, they're typically managing a few projects each that could be varying in sizes from a smaller bathroom remodel to a full new construction project.
Yeah. How did you start looking at like ways to be efficient? Like, and I guess from your perspective, you're looking at everything, but when it came to managing projects, um, how did you how did you start looking at or improving your efficiency around managing your different projects?
Um, one way we I guess kind of differentiate ourselves too is just through some technology. We use a construction management software called Builder Trend, um, and that allows us to do everything from clocking in and clocking out of our guys with a geofence. So we
Mm,
know when they've clocked into a job, what they've when they've clocked out, also what kind of task they're working on. So there's tags and cost codes, so they can essentially say, hey, yeah, I was working on finished carpentry or rough carpentry today.
we were talking about project management software. So.
Yeah, so we have a project management software called Builder Trend that enables us to not only track the field employees and when they're clocking in and clocking out, but they're able to allocate job costs or tags to it. Meaning, is this a budgeted line item, or is this a time and material job, or is it an allowance that they're working on? It has
Mhm.
the ability to do daily logs, which allows the guys to take a bunch of pictures, kind of list what the subcontractors were working on that particular day, what the employees were working on, and it gives the project managers an ability to check in on the job without maybe necessarily having to go there. Just couldn't happen to make it there that day. It's also very interactive for the homeowners. A lot of our clients are out of town, so we have the ability to share those daily logs with them. You can do billing through it, estimates, contracts. We use it for certain aspects of the project management, like project schedules. There's really a lot of power to that software.
That's cool. Very cool. How have you had to develop as a leader as you went from 0 to 5 to 5 to 10 to now 50 plus employees? How have you had to develop as a leader?
Definitely, certainly learned a lot along the way. I'd say that when we were probably around 30 employees or 25 employees, somewhere in there, we brought on a very good HR person who's really helped with the whole hiring and onboarding process and just dealing with all the employee HR issues, which has made a huge difference, both from, hiring better candidates and kind of weeding out some of the possible hires and just bringing them on board, having a better, more formal orientation, and having them understand kind of the processes and things that we, expect, before they even kind of hit the ground running. That's made a huge difference. And just really delegating properly from a leadership standpoint. I really try to let the project managers, work on their projects, work within a set of processes that we've developed over the years, but really kind of have some of, ownership and accountability for their own projects, and try to stay a little more hands off. I can't hear you.
Are you more of a visionary type person or more of a process driven person?
I would say more of a visionary type person. I have a lot of kind of thoughts and hopes for the future and plans to continue to grow the business. I have a couple other businesses that I kind of work on in parallel that support this business or are a good resource for this business. And I think what we've done over the last few years is created these processes. Now that we've known for a number of years what works well, we've kind of made them more tangible so that, for instance, if we hire a new project manager, here's a binder, here's the processes for all these different aspects. Tweak it to the way in which you work a little bit, but we have a good filing system for all our project documents, or this is format of how we want to be emailing and conducting business and communication with clients or subs or vendors, etc. And we have a lot of that infrastructure in place now, which is nice.
Yeah, which took a lot of time to build.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error. Um, what what are some sort of key signs of a project not going well in your estimation?
There's, I guess, a couple different ways a project could not be going well. What we found over time is that there's, I'd say like a direct correlation, although it's an indirect cost, but a direct correlation between a project taking too long and profitability. And the project could be taking too long for numerous amount of reasons, right? There's sometimes a lot of homeowner changes or client changes that create change orders, which, in theory, if you're setting the change orders up right, to have money made up for those changes, but also time extension to the contract. That's an
Mm-hmm.
important aspect, so that we're setting the right expectation. Like, yeah, it's fine if you want to put on this another addition over here, but this is the realistic amount of time that's going to add to the completion date as well as the cost. So the change orders are not just a financial change; it's also a time change. But we've seen over the years that as projects start to take too long or drag out for whatever the reason may be, that it certainly becomes more wearing on the project manager, more wearing on the employees, and especially the project manager, because they're the ones kind of coordinating everything and putting everything together to make it all happen. I think usually, project managers, if they're doing a really good job, they have great communication with their clients. When there's a lack of communication, I see that sometimes that's where things could fall apart. It's really just setting expectations. Not everything is construction. Not everything's going to go perfect. Not everything's going to happen right when it was supposed to and right for the cost that we thought it was supposed to. And so a lot of it just comes down to communication. I'm always stressing to my project managers, whether it's good news, bad news, or something in between, communicating that to your client and the homeowner is probably one of the most important things.
Yeah, yeah. How do you how have you been? What's your most successful channel for getting new clients and projects?
I'd say a lot of it's word of mouth. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Job site signs, having a big presence on Aquidneck Island and having signs on our job sites, people driving around seeing those has always been a good funnel of work. I've certainly seen a shift
Mm-hmm.
over the years of people more interested in the kind of concept of design build, where you're working with the architectural team. and we're all one team under one roof. So a lot of times you're meeting your project manager earlier on in the process while you're still in design, rather than an architect doing a set of plans, sending it to 3 builders, you're bidding on it, one gets selected, and it's kind of new to that project manager from that point forward. There's a lot more back and forth communication during the design process. We're also able, in most cases, to make sure the design is still shooting for a budget that we set out to hit at the beginning, rather than as the design goes on, it just keeps getting bigger and more expensive. And then, you put together final numbers on it, and all of a sudden you're not in the budget range that we had all set out to hit initially. And we see that all the time because we
Yeah.
do still work for a lot of architects and bid on projects. And you'll see, 3 contractors come in and everyone bids 20-30% higher than the homeowner wanted to be. And, we're all scratching our heads like, well, didn't you talk to your client about where this thing's going to come in at the end? And it's just a frustrating process for everyone, because typically the architect has to go back to do redesign. The client's now not getting some things that they thought they were going to get, and there's a lot of work on the contractor's part to value engineering it and repricing it for the changes of the new design.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely sort of frustrating, and it always feels like no matter what part of the spectrum you are in the contracting space, there's always like there's the client budget, and then there's the perception, and there's no like clarity on the beginning. It's like nobody wants to show their hand too much,
Right, right.
and 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 uh, and oftentimes too clients are not very they're not sophisticated or informed, not sophisticated, they're not informed enough of what goes into the pricing and the build
Right,
and what
right.
have you. Do you find that you have to are you having to, after all these years, still educate, or are you finding people are coming to you a little bit more educated?
I think the higher end market is certainly fairly educated on it, or may have built their main house or did a full renovation on their main house at one time, so that they usually have some understanding. But in an industry where the products and the materials are constantly changing, and there's always new avenues out there and new methods of doing things, there's always that level of
Mm-hmm.
educating and informing somebody on what their options are, and there's so many out there.
Yeah, yeah. When you were talking about different different businesses that all complement this, were you talking about the design, the millwork, the home service stuff, or was it stuff
Yeah,
not
well, we
directly linked?
I have a property management company as well that started off
Okay.
mainly managing properties that I own, which has transformed in the last year or two to also managing rentals, short-term rentals for other owners, and sometimes they end up being people we built a house for who they're only using it a few weeks out of the year, and they want to generate some additional rental income. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'll go in and manage some of the seasonal short-term rentals for them. Um,
That's great.
on top of managing the properties that we have that are a mix of year-round leases and also short-term rentals out in the Cape for the most part.
For
But
sure.
more recently, in the last few years, we started another company called Design House, which is located in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, and they specialize completely in interior design. What I was finding, it kind of was a business that came from trying to solve a problem where I had project managers driving all over the state or
Yeah.
multiple states to find tile and flooring and countertops, etc.
Mm.
Basically, what I did is created a space where these vendors and subs we've worked with for a long time that we know, do a good job, the quality's there, the price is reasonable, and created essentially a satellite showroom for them where they can display their
Mm.
stuff, and it's curated. There's interior designers there that are handpicking
So
the things
sick.
that they like. Um, and know are trending and working, and people are selecting it all the time. And so people aren't going into a tile store looking
Yeah.
at like a million options, but just maybe 100 options. And if they don't find exactly what they like, then we can keep going down the path of going to the bigger showroom. Um, or saying, "Hey, this is my inspirational photo. Can you source this?" And we can do that. So
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
just for JPS, but it's open to the public, other contractors, architects, interior designers, and it's a pretty nice showroom.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, most businesses are formed because you are solving a problem, and that's a really big problem. A lot of times, people don't necessarily have uh, they need to see things in front of them, right?
Right.
And I like to say too is like if you could help your clients make less decisions, then you'll be able to move things a lot quicker, right?
Yeah.
And because decision fatigue is really big, and especially on the construction end too, right? Like you're
Right.
asking the client to put up a lot of money. Then you're going to ask them to work with a contractor and make all of these different decisions. And oftentimes too, what I found is it's not really coming from a design perspective. It's coming from like a trade functional perspective. And I feel like nowadays clients, the audience, everybody wants to see what they want, what they're getting before they're getting it. And if you can like put together almost like like show that, truly show them. And so that's so what is it? Is it Design House RI? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and that's exactly to your point. They're over there creating mood boards and creating finished schedules for my project managers,
So
and of
cool.
course, again, open to the public and open to other contractors. But it gives them
Yeah.
the ability to bring the client in and say, "Hey, here's the wall color you picked out with the cabinet color and the tile right next to it, or the flooring that's going throughout the house," and kind of see everything in a space all in one place instead of driving around to each individual place asking, "Oh, can I take this sample over to here? I want to see how it goes with my kitchen cabinets or what have you." So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. That's cool. What how does this year look for you guys?
good. It's we're still very busy. I thought things would slow down a little bit just with the interest rates going up and
Hmm.
other things happening with the economy, but we're super busy, and we actually have a really busy fall coming up. We have a lot of projects starting up end of August and right after Labor Day in September. They'll go through all of 2025. So still busy for a while. We're still actively hiring for certain positions. So but yeah, things have been pretty good.
That's cool. What just a question about your subs, right? Like how much what do you keep in house? What do you sort of outsource?
So when we first started, we would do a lot of work in house. Like, if we did a small addition, we'd be framing it, we'd be roofing it, putting the windows and doors in, siding it. Whereas now, much more of the work is subcontracted. We still have about,
Mhm.
35, 40 guys in the fields, but they're really more focused on high end finish work, interior finish work. We did that for a couple of reasons. One, it's much easier on us for scheduling purposes. Like we're not affected by the weather as much. So, our guys are typically inside doing, finish work, installing kitchen cabinets, built-ins, millwork, etc. Um,
Mhm.
we're not worried about if it rains, we can't roof or we can't side. And the other reason is that, a lot of these subcontractors that we've partnered up for a number of years now, they can just do it so much more efficiently and cost effectively for us. When the framing company, all they do is frame, we're not going to be able to compete with them on a timing or probably a cost standpoint. And the same goes for the sidewallers and the roofing guys. And we sub out all the other standard stuff like electrical, plumbing, HVAC. We do have a licensed plumber on staff and an apprentice for, smaller kitchen, bathroom remodels. And then typically we'll have, one bigger house in the background that we're doing in-house plumbing wise. That keeps them busy.
That's cool. Very cool. Um, how do you stay motivated?
I'm really at this point really interested in continuing to grow the business. I love what I do. The team that I have now is great. A lot of people have been here for a good number of years, and that keeps building each year. We've had some really good hires in the last few years, so I'm excited about that. And yeah, I just
Hmm.
want to keep kind of pushing the envelope. We're always looking for kind of the next threshold of a project, whether it's size or total dollar value and high end quality of a house. I have a really big cool restaurant project coming up that we've been working on design for a number of years now. It's a big project that's been in the works, so we're excited to see that hopefully break ground sometime in 2025. Um,
Cool.
that's a little different for our portfolio, so it'll be fun and something to mix it up a little bit.
Awesome. Hey, so if you would have had to start all over in 2024, how would you do it?
Start all over. Whew, that was a long time ago. um,
What would you focus on? Who would you go after? How would you get your first couple projects, you think?
yeah, I think relationships meeting people in the community is a huge part of getting the jobs and putting a face to the name of the company and kind of having that flow of work. We've certainly changed our business model a little bit in the last few years from the standpoint of like how we're doing more of our contracts on more of a cost plus basis and a time and material basis, which is, we've always been extremely transparent and open book type of company. So even if it is a fixed contract, but just the formatting has allowed us to be more profitable in the last few years, which has been nice. And the clients seem to, respect the process and understand it, and they know they're getting a certain level of quality, and they're happy to pay for the true amount of hours that it takes to provide that quality, and then higher end materials, etc. So that's probably something that I would have done sooner if I were to start all over again.
Yeah, yeah. Is you think moving more towards the cost plus
Yeah,
basis?
versus the like a fixed contract. All our contracts for years were a fixed contract with a set of allowances for things that weren't determined yet, and time and time again, for whatever reasons, we'd see ourselves going over budget on some particular line items, and with the cost plus, and there's just in the higher end market, there's always a lot of changes. There's ads. There's it's just expensive materials, so it adds up quick, and it's just cost plus seems to be like a fair, transparent way to do it with your clients.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. All right. So this is a part of the podcast where I give you any marketing or business advice. Is there anything that you need help with? There's anything that you need to think through or
I mean, we have an in-house marketing guy who I think you spoke to, Shane, and he does a good job kind of helping out on all the businesses. Um,
mm-hmm.
he does a little bit for Breakwater, JPS, and Design House, and I'm constantly asking him like, how can we get our social media, to be a little bit more impactful or more followers, more likes, that kind of thing. And I feel like that's with the amount of time we've been in business and that we've been at it. I feel like that's something that maybe we're lacking.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's creating a YouTube channel or whatever it may be. So any advice you have maybe along those lines that could be helpful.
Yeah, I'm looking at your I'm looking at your just the JPS design and construction. You know, there's a there's a current trend right now, but I don't think it's necessarily going away. Do you remember how let's just say 10, 20 years ago, people were like, "Oh, you need a blog. You need a blog." You remember when people would
Yeah.
say like writing blogs is like how you get. So now the current blog is video, and And if you got to look from a market perspective, right? From a marketing perspective or from a platform perspective, people are consuming video at a really, really high amount. And the amount of videos that are out there are actually not enough to meet the demand, which is why people consume so much video, long form, short form. And so I take a step back and say like, okay, if if video are the new blogs, how do you tell better stories using video? If this was 20 years ago, it's like, how do you write better articles to keep people onto your website? And it's kind of the same thing with video. It's like, how do you, and so like, when we first got on this call, you were just literally walking out of a job site, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then, um, and then now you're on a podcast interview. And then what are you doing after this? I'm
Another
just
client
curious.
meeting. Yeah.
And then what are you doing after that?
Other job site visit.
Like that to me is really interesting content,
Right.
right? Like not just from like a person in the trades is in the field as you, but like from somebody that's going to, what's the average project worth to you?
Like project value.
Project size? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably around 500 to 600.
Okay. So if somebody's going to spend that much with you, they want to know who exactly they're talking to. And so if you can use video to tell better stories and to get people used to your voice and your brand and your name and the types of projects that you went to, like you actually don't, the fact that you've been around for so long and you keep getting word of mouth and you do great work, to me that's like that's baseline. And then if you add a layer of video to you where you're literally documenting and telling stories about you, your team, your job, like, like I just saw 2 hours ago you posted, and Andrew had his six year anniversary with you,
Yeah.
right? Like that seems like a good video, right? Like I want to hear Andrew talk about what makes working at JPS so incredible,
Right.
right? And not only will it help build morale internally with him, but then if you start doing that with all of your other employees, what will happen? You'll retain your good people more, and then now you also know too by having 50 people that uh, talent acquisition is probably more like just as important as getting new clients, correct?
Right.
So now if you have great video, you're attracting talent and then you're now attracting clients, and people are already indoctrinated into your mission, your vision, your values. They know your work. You start talking about like, hey, the way we work is this, right? We do it on a cost plus basis. What does that mean? And then you start breaking down things and you just start telling stories. It's like the ultimate sales strategy.
Right.
It's like the biggest sales asset that you're leveraging and that's selling for you continuously. Does that make sense? So I
Yeah.
guess to me is like you need to tell more stories, and then we need to have a mic on you, and then you just have what's your marketing guy's name?
Shane.
Shane. And then you have Shane follow you for 2 hours a day with a phone. And then we create a process that he just like edits and then it goes out there. You just start telling stories. That's all you have to do. That's the biggest thing right now. It's
Yeah.
what people want.
Right.
It's going to actually differentiate you from anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That makes sense.
And reviews. Get more reviews.
Yeah.
Go to everybody that you've ever worked with, period, and get them. Even get your employees to give reviews.
Yeah.
Those will be help. That'll help tremendously. Is that helpful?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we
Cool.
actually a
Awesome.
couple of years ago started some vlog stuff, and we had a third party marketing company. It was a buddy of mine, but they were coming in and filming our job sites, but then would pull a PM aside and did a short little video with them, and they're going really good. And then it kind of fanned off. We just started doing more of it in house, but I need to get Shane kind of back on that same cycle because the videos they were creating were pretty cool. They're getting a lot of
Cool.
compliments
Yeah,
now.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Tell everybody your website.
So it's JPS Construction&Design.com, and located in Middletown, Rhode Island.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm excited to get it out to the Woodpreneur community.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.
Talk to you
All right,
later.
take care.
Bye.
Bye.